Are you recording?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello and welcome to another episode of Death by Bungie. We're going to talk about LUMENOKS, and you're going to like this video. You're going to get a lot out of it. I know one of the problems that you've had with the Burt Coyote Lumenok is everybody complains you can't turn it off. They make a little pulling tool, the Lumenok pulling tool that I've used over the years, and there's another one like a piece of hose, that kind of stuff. People use different methods for doing it, and you put that on there and pull on it, all that sort of thing. Over the years, what I've done with these to make them more manageable, make them work better, is I get them all adjusted so they fit. Look at that. I just turned it on, and look at this. I just turned it off, right? And it's not going to fall out, right? It's not going to fall out. We're not going to lose it in the field. How do you do that? How do you get it so it just pushes in with 2 fingers, and you can pull it out nice and snug, but you pull it out. It's fit perfect. What you got to be real careful of is look at these, because the Burt Coyote Lumenok works with these little electrode. You see that thing sticking out? There's just a piece of wire. It's not an electrode, but there's a little piece of wire that sticks out there, and that's what completes the circuit. When that wire under the knock here, when that makes contact with the carbon shaft, that's what turns the knock on. And kaboom, that's what it does, okay? It's that wire touching the carbon. If we take this out of here, okay, then you can see those little wires, and we've got to protect those. You got to make sure that we're not damaging those wires. We've got brand new ones, green ones. Why in the world do we have green ones?
I like green.
Yeah, Genevieve likes green. Genevieve is filming for me right now. Genevieve is the fan of the green, and we're going to take a very sharp, hopefully that's got a nice sharp blade in it. We're going to open up our Lumenok very carefully like that. Open this up.
Very scientific.
And take this out. A brand new green Burt Coyote Lumenok, and boy, they're nice and shiny. The wires are, see how my wires are all jangly because I've been playing around with them. We're going to make this guy fit in there the way that this one fits. And what we're going to do is we're going to look for our wires and make sure we're not interfering with our wires. And we're going to very carefully take, I've done 2 different ways. You can take a nail file, right, and just rub that ridge down. Not the one next to that electrode. We're going to turn it sideways so we're away from the electrode. But you can rub that ridge down a little bit and make that smoother, make it smaller so it takes up less room to make it fit inside the shaft. And what we're going to do, you're doing a dozen of these, it's going to work your fingers up real good. I'm going to tell you that, okay? But we're just going to take this sheetrock knife and very carefully shave away a little part of that. You can see the green stuff coming off there, okay? And we're just going to be very careful about it and do a nice smooth job. And it doesn't hurt to take that nail file, right, and do that and help that go smooth. So we're going to look in here between the electrodes, be very careful of our electrodes, and we're going to do that. And make sure you're pushing away from your fingers. You don't want to be cutting your hand or something like that. We'll get that off there. And then this guy, we're going to turn him around this way. And you'll find that your fingers, this really does wear out your fingers doing one of these. By the time you get done with a dozen of them, if you know you've done something, let's put it that way. You know what I'm saying, kid? So that is one of the reasons why Genevieve is going to be doing the remainder of them. But actually, we should be testing this on your shaft, too. It doesn't make sense for me to do it on my shafts, but your shafts.
Mine happen to be right there.
They happen to be right here. Let's get one of
and
these
they are
guys
also
out.
green.
They are, and they're actually the same shaft. But what we'll find is that not all the shafts are the same, right? Not all the knocks are exactly the same. You're going to see this goes in there a little easier in this shaft. This is an AJ's custom arrow made for Genevieve. Yeah. Reaper shafts, right? Spine indexed. Got your cock vein here. We put that on here. These are a little bit of a helical design. Look at that. Pretty good offset right there. And for your crossbow at a slower speed, it's going to really appreciate that. It will love it. These ones, not so much. If you look at these are pretty straight. But these are AJ's arrows. AJ's custom arrows that he made for the SWAT X1. Also, spine index. Death by Bungie logo. Can't beat that, huh? Death by Bungie compliant colors and veins. But the Reaper shaft, again, 150 grainer on the front. These are a little bit lighter. They're right down to about 480. They get me up to 360. Did videos on that. Great stuff.
I'm down to about 320.
Keep cleaning this up a little bit and show you how to do this, kiddo. And you got to get the blade flat, right? Not a lot of room to work here, but you get a feel for it. And I know I can do it because I've done it on a bunch of these guys. So, but you want to do one little ridge and then roll it over and do the ridge on the other side. That's probably a good plan. Play around with them. Sometimes you have to. Some of them I didn't have to do both ridges. I just did one, and whatever seemed to work. But we're going to do this and clean it up a little bit. Okay. You don't want it too rigid in there. You don't want it too rough or anything. But we want to make sure that it's going in there, and you can see it's going in there a lot better. Now, that one, the only thing is getting tight there, so that tells me I'm going to have to loosen it up a little bit. And if we keep looking at those electrodes and keep them protected, we'll know where we are. So we're just going to cut up like that, up to the knock, right? And then this guy will flip it over. Boy, you might need glasses to do this too. Yeah, that's going to make a difference. This is going to be a nice, get it smooth. It feels smooth to the touch. That's important. But look how easy that is going in there. I don't think I could pull it out by hand. But I think we're getting close, though. I think we are. But you don't want it too much off. Now, if you take too much off, what do? You can build it up with some super glue in there and let that dry and harden, and then clean that up again and sort of rebuild it. But you just want to keep testing it so you don't take too much off and you won't have that problem. But you don't want to take off too much. You want to make sure that the knock is still, you don't want it falling out, right? It hasn't been a problem. I mean, if you just keep testing it, you won't have a problem. But we're just going to clean that up a little bit like that. Keep an eye on where our wires are sticking out so we're not hurting our wires. Ooh, that's going in there nice. So now I can push that in there and it turns on. Ta-da! And I can pull it out by finger. That's nice and tight. This might be too tight for your fingers. You can play around with it to get this customized for your little girl fingers.
Yeah.
Good looking arrows. Can you turn it on? Ooh, you turn it on. Can you turn it off?
Ta-da! Yep.
Oh, perfect. The other thing I'll tell you about these are spine indexed arrows. You will be shooting them with the white down, right?
Yep.
In the flight groove.
Yep.
And the little white dot will be up. But the white vein is what you're going to be looking for. Because of that, you got to pay mind to where these wires are in relationship to the arrow shaft. Did you know that? You don't have to, right? You don't have to. Because these wires are tucked in pretty good, and I don't think they're going to affect your rail, but you don't want those wires dragging on the rail. That will reduce.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, it'll wear them down. If you look at these, obviously my string is here. I have to have those wires on this are on the sides, okay? So I have to put them there. I don't have a choice. So when I put this knock in place, I have to make sure, I always have to give it an eye, look at it, and make sure that this is perpendicular to this, because this arrow goes in like this. And I've got the string pushing here, okay?
Yep.
So if you do that and put that in that SWAT, it'll go in there. But then these are going to cut the string right in half, and you're going to have a big problem on your hands. Got to be careful with that. So you got to line these kinds of knocks up, right? The capture style knocks or anything along those lines. And make sure that the wires here, you don't have a choice. The wires are going to be on the sides. And presumably, that's not going to drag on the rail and wear those wires out or interfere with arrow flight or ruin the Lumenok. Here, I think if you put them, you have to look at your crossbow. Maybe side to side is the way you want it. So when you're doing the rest of your knocks, I want you to see which way to get them, and then make sure you're putting them in there. And then every time you get ready to shoot this, we're going to make sure we line up that little wire, and that will help you. People complain about the Burt Coyote LUMENOKS, but it's usually one of these two things. The installation and turning it off is a lot easier if you take the time to customize each knock to each shaft. And that's what this video is going to help people do. The other thing that people complain about is that they don't last and they turn off and they won't turn back on, or they turn on and they turn off. But that has a lot to do with those wires and the way that those wires have been worn out, okay? But this should be good. You can now turn that on and I can get it out, okay? I can turn it off. You shoot your deer, you go turn it off, pull out of the target, turn it off right there at the target. It's only lit while you're looking at it, right? And as soon as you're done, you can turn it off. And then you just look at those wires and line them back up. Hopefully, that is a tip that friends of Bunjie really appreciate, and it helps you appreciate your Burt Coyote LUMENOKS even more. Coupon code Bunjie, 15% off those LUMENOKS. Not sponsored by them, but I love them to death. It is my favorite crossbow piece of gear right here in 2024. I did a video on that already also. So get yourself some Burt Coyote LUMENOKS. Hopefully this helps you enjoy them to their fullest. Genevieve now is going to take the rest of these LUMENOKS right here. And she's going to install
Yay.
them in these arrows. And I'm going to let her do that. She gets to do that. And then she's going to shoot them in the 60-yard backyard here and show us how good she did. All hail Bunjie.